So hi, Liam. How you
Hey,
getting
Alex.
on?
Yeah, all good, Alex. Sun shining here in Belfast, so yeah, it's a good day outside, you know.
It's amazing. Even when the season finishes, there's so much football going on.
Alex, I haven't stopped. As you know, I coach at Cliftonville Football Club. I coach the under 20s there, and we've had a busy season. New manager coming in, Jim Magilton and Jared Little, and we're excited about what's going to happen at the club. So I'm looking forward to working with these guys. Really looking forward to working with this year's crop of young players that are vying for that pro contract, and they're lads I would have coached sort of historically over the years. So really busy. We're back to pre-season. Another session tonight. I'm off to Boston next week, so I'm going to miss next. I'm going to miss next week's next week's football, Alex. But I'm heading to Boston for football, so it's just non-stop. My boy is, he plays for Linfield. So for anyone that doesn't know Irish League football, it's a bit like it's the Celtic and Rangers of Irish League football. It's good fun in our house. So he flew out to Marbella this morning. They're going for a warm weather training camp. They're getting ready for Europe. So uh, what else would we talk about, Alex, other than football?
I know. I mean, we're just back from the nations, the UEFA Nations Cup, which was an incredible experience. Just, the whole experience was wonderful. But I got back we got back, myself and Eamon, and then the FAI schools finals were on, the 11-a-side games, and this is where the primary schools are playing in the Dublin area anyway. Are playing the finals, and it's wonderful to see. We have a big interest in girls football, and I was lucky enough to be able to make it for my daughter's game. She was playing; her school made it to the first Dublin Cup final, junior cup final, which was
Brilliant.
not the biggest primary schools, but the middle tier, and it was just
Yeah.
brilliant. Beautiful pitches out in the AUL complex, incredible referees. The referees not only did they referee the games, but they distributed the medals. They organized the whole thing. It was a real it's just a beautiful sense of grassroots football and the growth in grassroots football. And of course, what we want to talk about today really is, how are clubs able to deal with this growth? How are the FAI, they can't be stretched. You can only do so much. So the growth of the game is creating all these opportunities, all these problems, and all these opportunities as well. So that's where we're leading in. My three kids are involved in football. I love it. I've recently got back into um, taking on board and working with Eamon and getting involved with Striker Online. I see a huge amount of opportunities, but I also see these issues that areas that clubs need help in, and that's what I've been trying to do, is connect with people like yourself who have this huge amount of experience in the grassroots game.
Yeah, listen. Grassroots football it's just been my life, Alex. From playing as a boy, and uh, I mean, you guys will know about the North. We when I was growing up, we were in the middle of a conflict, and the one thing that united us all on a Saturday morning was playing football, and you got to meet people from, uh, different communities that you didn't live with or you didn't go to school with, you maybe played against. But just grassroots football is just one of those wonderful um, elements of the community that just does so much. It's not just about the football. And I'll be honest, Alex. When I think about me, I was fortunate to play the game. I was fortunate to be sort of half decent. I got into coaching early. My three kids, two girls and a boy, all got into grassroots football. They tended to do well, and I brought my wife along. She just didn't get it. She was Irish dancing. Uh, she was ballet for the two girls, and it just happened when my girls turned teenagers, they chose football, and my wife just didn't get it, but now she does, because we've got a boy that's doing quite well, and she sees the supporters, and it's just been brilliant. And my whole professional life has been in the grassroots game. I was I went straight into sports development, helping clubs with putting structures in place, um, helping improve the level and the breadth of our coaches, and build their capacity to turn out better players. That got me into then helping clubs develop their own facilities, Alex. And when you take it right from the bottom, we talk about Republic of Ireland last week, the two international games, and you take Northern Ireland, who had two international games. All those players come from grassroots clubs. They don't start out as being international footballers. They start in the grassroots club, and at some point in their journey, they maybe join a League of Ireland or an Irish League Academy, and then they move into a player pathway. But the more facilities that we can build, Alex, the more opportunity we give for enhanced contact time will ultimately manifest itself at some point in the future in having a better international team. So you can't separate grassroots from the international end. And when I look at the Northern Ireland panel last week, and I look at how many young players made up that panel, my boy he just missed out on that. He was in the under-21 squad and could have made. All these lads came through the 4-a-side, 5-a-side, 7-a-side, 9-a-side, 11-a-side, all played on pitches. And the more of these facilities that we can help build in communities, Alex, it's ultimately going to manifest itself in a better team that we put out at international level, Alex. So it's but the grassroots game is just fascinating. I love it, Alex.
Yeah, well, before I get on to the first area that I want to pick your brains on is, touching on that. At Striker, yeah, we're firm believers that every single volunteer, every single person involved, every parent that drives their kids to training, every one of those, every groundsman in every ground, they all love what they're doing. And the cream on the cake is if they've ever been involved in the development of a child that eventually puts on the green jersey or the jersey of their country. That is, that's the thing that, just is the amazing thing. They don't do it for that reason. They do it because they love it. They do it because they're community driven and they're, altruistic in many ways, these volunteers. But when they do happen to have this player in their history that has gone through them, played on their grass, that they've signed them at one stage, they've dealt with their parents, that becomes almost their kind of calling card and said, oh yeah, well, they played in our club. And it's a wonderful thing. And it's not, the brilliant thing about this and coming back from the Nations Cup, players can come from anywhere,
Alex,
and
listen,
this leads me on to the question here, which was go on.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
I'm just going to say that there is nothing better, and it's unfortunate on this island of Ireland we got two teams, and that's not what we want to get into today. But in some sense, it gives players an opportunity to play for both countries, if you like. And the Good Friday Agreement, for particularly people in Northern Ireland, it provided that sort of north-south relations. But last week was a pretty big moment for everyone. I mean, Northern Ireland went to Denmark and they took on the might of the Danes in Copenhagen. And Michael O'Neill, who's went to school with my business partner Manus McGill here, who was an ex-pro. Michael's done a great job. Is a long list of injuries, and he decided I'm going to go young. And a young boy called Callum Marshall, 18 years of age, makes his debut with like 5 or 10 minutes to go, and he scores this goal that is ultimately ruled out by this horrendous VAR decision. But for that young lad 4 years ago playing in park pitches, now I can't say I had any role in Callum Marshall's development by any stretch. But Callum was one of those lads that played for a Great Glentoran team under 3 grassroots volunteer coaches. His dad was one, Kieran. My friend, a guy called Paul Graham, was the goalkeeping coach, and his son's a pro at Everton. The other guy was Lindsay, and his son's was a pro at Rangers. That lad came on at 18 and scored a goal that should have stood And even though I didn't coach, I felt I had some sense to play in his development because we were his biggest competitors at the time at Linfield and then at Cliftonville. And we'd like to think we pushed those guys to be better. And it's just a great game. And I think everyone was ecstatic for the boy and for the family and for those group of coaches, friends. And to say that you've had a role in that, there's absolutely nothing better. My sort of, I don't want to say my claim to fame here, Alex, but over the last 4 or 5 years, I had a great group of boys at Cliftonville, one of the most talented group of young boys in the league, and young Sean Moore, who made his debut at Cliftonville first team last year, get called into the Republic of Ireland under 19 side under Tom Mohan. And there was a bit of tug of war between should he go Northern Ireland, should he go Republic, and he chose Republic. He's on the cusp of moving to West Ham for a deal that will make Cliftonville Football Club somewhere around £500,000. And I believe the initial upfront payment is somewhere between 150 and 200,000. Sean texts me every day. Sean texts and says, "What are you up to, Gaffer?" And wherever Sean goes in life, I'd have been his gaffer. And there's 5 or 6 other boys who are as talented as Sean that will go on to have really high profile careers in England, Scotland, and at home. And to have had such a big role in their lives and more importantly, their families' lives, there's just nothing bad. And listen, at Team Feepay, that's why we started this. Alex, we're a football company. We want to help grassroots clubs come away from the formality of collecting payments and communication shares and all the hassle that comes from running a club. Because you didn't join a club to be the treasurer, or you didn't join a club to be, the guy running around collecting the money. You joined a club to coach and be involved in football. And that was the reason we developed Team Feepay. I was coaching at Linfield at a time, and I remember 20 minutes of my 1 hour session, Alex, was spent collecting the £2 from the boys when they were coming in. And I thought there's got to be a better way. And that was, I know at Striker Online, you're keen to communicate and partner with organizations that ultimately want to help clubs, but nobody really joins a club to be the treasurer or the chair. They tend to go on a journey through the club and then become the treasurer and the chair when they maybe don't want to coach anymore. But we wanted to get coaches back out coaching so that they can create the players that ultimately have careers and develop friends and relationships that will make them really good citizens, Alex. So that's it's a beautiful industry, Alex. It's just, we're so lucky to work in it,
Well, Liam, tell me more about, in terms of from your experience, the roles that you've played in your previous life or in previous businesses where you have helped grassroots clubs develop their facilities.
Yeah, so listen, you'll remember, Alex, one of the big changes, I think, in Irish and Northern Irish football, even English football, was the 3G pitches coming to town, because it just allowed clubs to really intensify their grounds and the use of their grounds. So instead of it maybe being used every second Saturday for the first team, you've now got Irish league clubs that their main pitch is at 3G. The local community use it, the academy use it, the ladies teams use it, the girls teams use it, and there's just a big sense of community. And the club becomes more than just that Saturday first team fixture. It becomes the epicenter for club development and engagement and parents coming. And I think that really started to develop in the early 2000s, Alex. And I had the fortune, I graduated out of University of Ulster Sports Studies. And part of my placement year had been spent working in Belfast City Council as an early sports development officer, if you like. So you had people in central and local government started to think about, this is something that we should think about doing. So I'm going to say sort of luck, but I found myself in a situation where people were starting to talk about installing 3G pitches. And that meant big investment. They cost maybe, close to €1 million now to put in, with the floodlights and the fencing and all the bells and whistles that come with it, and the dugouts and the nets. But back then they weren't as big. So government started to think about, how do we put this money in place? And I found myself in a position in Belfast City Council at the time, thinking about, how do we build 4 of these? One in North, South, East, and West Belfast. And I was tasked with starting to think about that. I then moved from Belfast City Council to Sport NI to manage a fund for Sport NI for a very short time. I didn't last too long in central government, Alex. If there's such a thing, I was probably better at getting the funding than actually being the person that had the funding and giving it out, because that meant telling
Yeah.
people you were successful and no, you weren't. And I'm bad at that. So, so I decided, listen, let's get out on our own. London 2012 Olympics was announced in 2005, and this promise of investment. And I thought, you know what? Here's an opportunity to change the game. Here's an opportunity to go and help clubs, volunteer-led clubs, people that, don't have full-time staff, develop their facilities. And back then it was very simple, Alex, around, here's a grant fund, apply, and then we'll help you deliver it. And it's now become the opposite of that. It's become an industry. So really over the last 20 years, Alex, 19 years, we've helped, me personally, about 300 clubs develop their stadia, their facilities, their 3G pitches, their small scale muggas, changing a grass pitch to a 3G, or taking a school pitch, school getting use of it during the day and club getting use of it in the evening. Um, and there's a model to getting these things right. There's a process. There's an A, B, C. Just follow the model and the game plan, and you know you'll become successful. So, yeah, I've helped hundreds of clubs, and um, every club's different. Every club has different politics. But in the main, Alex, there's a process, and if you follow the process, you'll be successful. And really, it's clubs understanding the process and trying not to short circuit the process that will ultimately lead them to be successful. Alex,
Yeah, so you've obviously done it in a number of. You've learned these processes, these stages, in basically hundreds of examples. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, we did, as I say, from the early days of, let's just get 4 of these up in Belfast to. And we didn't deliver all 4 at that time either, but there was a process of trying to get them going, predominantly for soccer clubs, and then the GA came in afterwards. As I say, I then went and I went and worked for one of the grant organizations that was giving this out. And as I say, I realized I was more of an outside man than an inside man, helping clubs get these things. But listen, there's nothing more rewarding. People used to say to me, Liam, you do okay from it, you make a living from it. And I said, yeah, you know what? I make a living just like everyone else, but I'm not charging percentages on, if we help your club get 1 million, we take 10%. We got a day's wage for a day's pay, Alex. But
Yeah,
what we did
yeah,
was, we were very straight with our clubs about how they should play the cards dealt to them to be successful. And the thing that got me up out of bed, and I genuinely, sincerely mean this, is when you arrive on opening day and there's 100 kids out on the pitch. And one of the best nights of my life, Alex, was last year. A variety of different things. A club dear to my heart, Harden and Wolf Welders Football Club, started a journey 10 years ago to develop a 3G pitch in a football stadium. And they went on the journey. And people came and went. But we got there. We got over 5 million to develop a 3,000 capacity stadium. They're a championship club, so one down from Irish League, a growing academy, girls teams coming up, and a really engaged community in East Belfast. But great salt of the earth football people running the club. A great guy called Freddie McGee, who's now the president, just as the life and soul of football in Northern Ireland. And I remember meeting Freddie, and Freddie saying to me, Liam, councillors have promised us we're going to get this. And I said, Fred, you know what? Councillors are great people, but they can only move the needle for you when you get so far along the journey. And expecting them to do the work to get you along the journey It's not their job. So let's take the steps to get there. But last year, Northern Ireland were playing Wales under 18 international at this stadium. Okay. And I
Yeah.
took my dad across. My dad's Liam, and I'm Liam, and I've got a son, Liam. And Liam was playing for the Northern Ireland under 18 schoolboy side. Frankie Wilson was the manager, who passed away just recently from cancer. And anyone that knows Frankie, anyone in the island of Ireland in football knows Frankie Wilson. Great guy. He took a punt on Liam. He gave him a shop window, but we arrived, and it was the first night I was in the stadium from it had been completed. And Liam played that night. He scored. He got man of the match. It was live on TV. They won 3-0. At halftime, the club officials asked would I come down to the sort of galleyway into the and they just wanted to say thanks, because we talked about our vision being home internationals being played on this pitch. And I got to bring the old fella who hadn't been to see Liam play in a stadium that I'd helped deliver on a night like that. And regardless of the politics of Northern Ireland, it was just a great night. That's what gets you up out of bed in the morning, Alex. And
Yeah.
it's just a
Yeah.
phenomenal story. And it's a night that I'll live with for the rest of my life. And great club, Northern Ireland, boy playing, me watching, proud parent, and then the guys just saying, Liam, you know what? You didn't come to the official opening, because I'm one of these guys that stands in the background, but we wanted to let you know we couldn't have done this without you. We want to thank you. We got some photographs and pictures. And when my dad asked me, now I actually understand what you do for a living, Liam, it all became real. Alex. So
Yeah.
that's
Well,
just a great story.
yeah, it is. And then we just heard a similar story from Brian Cusick of Westport United, who myself and Eamon had
Great club.
deep discussions
Great club.
with over uh, in Porto Novo in Galicia, and it was wonderful. He gave us the blow by blow event from the vision that they had, the founding of the club in 1911, and the situation that they were in. They got a new pitch, I think, in the 1950s, but he describes the vision, and it was a very good example for other clubs to look at, to understand, the highs and lows of the process and what they need to be doing, and really it's led on to this discussion that we're having now, because we want to try to take his example, like the one you've just talked about there with that new stadium, but take that from the vision that a club needs to have, and then to go to shorten the learning curve by cross fertilizing, by understanding and learning from other people. And I suppose it leads me to this question that I wanted to ask is, what kind of advice do you have for clubs that are in that position and are generating that vision and want to follow that similar journey, which is going to take them 5, 10, maybe 15 years from
Yeah.
start?
Yeah. Listen, a couple of bits of advice for them, Alex, is absolutely be ambitious when you start out in your journey. Future proof your plans. Think about what it is you want to do. Use up every bit of space that's within your gift or your ground, and get a master plan. So think about what this might look like in 10, 15, 20 years' time, and get a master plan. Because the likelihood is you're going to deliver this in pieces. Phase one might be the 3G pitch. The next might be the social or the changing pavilion. Then there might be a small mugger. There might be a goalkeeper's area. But in the main, think big. And then get down to really thinking about, how am I going to deliver this? And I guess the best bit of advice that I can give clubs is, don't start the journey because you've heard that there's a grant coming. Because at that point, you're too late. If you suddenly get up today and you found that, the League of Ireland or the Irish government has released, £100 million of grassroots football funding, it's too late. It's done. There's no point starting then, Alex. What you must do is engage your clubs, your community, your councillors, get your master plan, and then start to think about how are we going to deliver this. Get your planning permission in place early, and we have this model about helping clubs get to being spade ready. So if your club wants to go on this journey to create a facility, it might be some grant funding, it might be some private money, it might be an ex-player that puts a bit of money in. Go and get spade ready. And what being spade ready means is get your planning permission with the right architect, okay? Not because you've got an architect in the club that does extensions on somebody's house. Get somebody that knows what they're doing. That doesn't mean it's expensive, Alex. And do enough of a plan that's going to get you through planning. And that's pretty basic. Because at some point in the future, when you come to do your detail design, if there's some grant funding available, that's likely to be an eligible part of the grant. So just do enough to get yourself spade ready. Get your business case in place. Get your community involved. But more importantly, get a little war chest together before you start the journey. And that war chest might be €10,000 or £10,000. Because to get your project spade ready, you're going to need to buy in some expertise. And a team fee pay, we help our clubs get that little war chest together, that initial £5,000 to £10,000. We've got a club development officer, if you're a team fee pay customer, who provides this advice and guidance free as part of the membership. There's no charge, Alex. But we help a club through a few workshops identify their vision, and then we can give them advice on maybe who to bring in as an architect so that they can make their planning application, give them their template business plans so that their accountant can help them come up with their cash flow projections, etc. But in the main, Alex, get a little war chest together, engage the community so that you're ready. And when you're ready, then when the grant funding opportunities come out, you're actually ready to put in a credible bid. Now, we had some great news yesterday and for some of our Northern Ireland-based customers. 4 of our clubs bid to the DCMS IFA Grassroots Facilities Fund, which opened in April. Opened in April, closed in May, and yesterday they got word they've been moved to stage 2 in the assessment process, which pretty much means they want to give them the grant. There's just more detail they're going to need to get. So those team fee pay customers got the support from Michael and the likes of ourselves, and they've bid for things like full-size 3G pitches on their main pitch, training areas. I don't want to mention who the clubs are, but you'll see an announcement when they get the fund, because a team fee pay will be champion and congratulating them. But 4 big clubs with 4 big plans. Ultimately, this fund started and opened in April. They bid and they've been successful to move to stage 2 in the process. But it didn't start in April. It maybe started 2 or 3 years before, Alex. And it's why they were able to put in such strong, credible bids. So, and the last bit of advice is be patient, Alex. Be patient.
I got my hands on a very good slide from Team Fee Pay. It's a stages slide, and I was just wondering if I could put that up.
Of course.
It's the stage. So you have I'll just put it up here. Hold on, yeah. So here it is here. If you can see it, what I found quite interesting is that it shows these stages, and I like this thing of -1 and -2, because as you say, so many people get stuck in to the application for a grant without having any of the previous stages, and as you say, it's too late. So can you guide us through these stages?
Yeah, I guess what we tried to explain, and I'm a very positive person, Alex. So to put a negative anywhere is a bad thing, like a -2 or -1. But I guess what we're trying to show with the -2 and the -1 is that's where the club have their internal discussions and actually start to work out whether there's the appetite to go on this journey, and they've got the the right people. They've maybe got access to land, or they've got an opportunity or an option to develop a bit of land. And they're really starting to develop a concept now. I'll give you an example. There's a club in Strabane, a customer of Team VPay, and they contacted us about the fund that came out, and they were at -2. And we said, listen, you can't bid for this fund because you're not spade ready. But the one big thing is, Alex, the bit of land that they were going to develop was right next door to a school 3G pitch, like literally right next door. And what we were trying to say to the guys was, unless you can actually get control of the school pitch and actually show this as being a complex, um, there actually isn't a project here, because there's no need to build a competing facility right next door to the one that's open to the public. So that's where the -2 was. Yeah. The -1, establishing the basic feasibility, is things like, can we get the land? If you're a club that has one team, and you're a senior team and you have no academy, you know what? No one's actually going to fund your vision if it's just for one team. But if your vision is to create a boys' academy, a girls' academy, 20 teams over the next 10 years, well then, listen, there is the needs here and the basic feasibility of we're going on a journey to create this. And even if the club isn't, if you're willing to create partnerships with clubs in the locality, boys and girls clubs, well then there is a feasibility. So they're all the things that you need to do. And there's a range of questions. We've crafted this model over 20 years of experience of doing this. And -2 and -1 are the most important stages in the process, okay? And these are the bit that 99 times out of 100 clubs forget to do, Alex, okay? And this is the bit, if you spend time doing this early, and we've got a couple of workshops at Team VPay where we can help our customers do this. They're one-to-ones, as I say, there's no charge. And they're normally done virtually, where we help take a club through this. And at the end of it, we get the solid foundations of a project is born. We've actually got a project. And then we move into things like full feasibility study. Right, it's a council-owned pitch. Can we get a 25-year lease on the pitch? Because we're not going to get funding if we don't have the 25-year lease. And how can we help the club ask the right questions of the local authority to get that? So you go through quite a bit. How much is it going to cost? Well, our overarching vision is going to cost 10 million in terms of delivering the master plan. But phase 1 of our project is 3G pitch, fence, and a concrete plit room with some floodlights, and that's going to cost $1 million. That's absolutely doable. So that's where you start to section everything up, and then you move into, right, now let's do our planning. And the planning is that's probably the most difficult phase, because it's a bit that a club's not in control of. You apply to the local authority for planning, and they come back and they say, oh, there's some trees there, and we maybe need to do a bat survey to see if the lighting is going to impact the bats that are there, and we need to do a sewage report just to actually work out whether the sewers that are in the locality can actually take the water that's going to run off the pitch. And they're the things that cost time and money. And that's really why you need that little 10 grand to pay for those scientists to do those studies to help you get the planning. But the one thing I always say to clubs, and this is another bit of advice, if you've done stage -2 and stage -1 right and stage 1 right, once you get planning, Alex, once you get your planning permission, in Northern Ireland, that's a green certificate. Down south, it's your certificate, it's your approval. Please proceed. Your project becomes more a question of, when are we going to do this, as opposed to, will we ever be able to do this? Because you actually have a project. Before that, what you actually have is just a good idea. And that's the difference. So if you can get your clubs to think about this, right, let's go through these stages. And when we get our planning permission, we actually have a project that we can aggressively go after. We can engage the councillors now, because councillors want to help. They're great people, yes, but they can't help you until you're at stage 2, Alex. And then you move into stage 3, which is, sorry, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, it's so clear. I find these steps so clear, because nobody wants to get involved with anybody who's not serious.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and so these -1 and -2 and building up to the first stage is about showing the world how serious you are about the vision that you have for your club, your community, and the value that you're going to bring. And I suppose that's their way of just filtering out the people that are not worth, or the clubs that are just aren't capable. It's the club's capacity to deliver as well. And
Yes.
so it's very easy to see that. And of course, 90%, 95% of clubs out there, um, because of the kind of generational, change all the time, and all the different skills that are needed, don't have the knowledge, don't
Yeah.
have this step-by-step process. And a firm like Team Fee Pay is structuring itself to provide this vital information to ambitious and progressive clubs, so that everybody wins. And you're able to provide this information to your members who are already, for example, looking after the subscriptions properly. They're getting their club systems in place and boxed off, so that they're not running around wasting time collecting subscriptions, or that they might become much more efficient in terms of their sponsorship, in terms of fundraising. They might be a lot more able to generate the income, or add income streams later on for future proofing whatever development they have. So really, you're building a spine through the club that they can rely on as a customer of Team Fee Pay, and then everybody wins.
Uh, Alex, listen, you're absolutely right, and this is the point. Sometimes we get put in the same bracket as a club force or a club zap or a club funder here on the island of Ireland, and without, and I'm not being disparaging, they help clubs collect money, they help them report on their money, but the bit they don't do is this, and it's not because they don't want to do it. It's just they don't have the experience. We've lived and breathed this for the last 20 years, and 10 people in the office worked in previous businesses that we had that helped clubs do this. So they have this real credible experience that just helps. And we've decided we're not going to charge for that. We just want to help clubs. So you're right, but listen, a really good example. Uh, some clubs might be able to raise 80 or 90% of the funds. Let's say it's €1 million to do a new 3G pitch and floodlights and fencing and spectator pathway around. And you might need to get a 10 or a 20% loan from a really credible social lender like Community Finance Ireland. And the director there, a guy called Liam McStravick, a real top man. He's a banker, but he's a football guy. He gets it, and he knows how clubs work, and he's supported GA clubs. But Phelan would say to me, Liam, right, I need to bring this to an investment committee. So and I get Team Fee Payer helping him. Would the club be willing to raise their membership fees from €30 a month to €34 a month? Because if you can do that, and I can take that €4 to pay back the loan, this is a no-brainer for me. And if I can actually collect that and take it at source, it's a penalty kick. So not only are we helping the club do that, but we're helping them access alternative sources of finance by just being smarter. And at Team Fee Pay, we can help them with things like, digital fundraising, football themed fundraising that can help them maybe raise 30 or 40,000 very quickly. So yeah, we've really tried to create a software solution backed by people in football through service that just know how a club lives and breathes and the problems they have. And the big multiple for us is in terms of value for our customer is that, yeah, we can help them with their payments and their reporting and their fundraising. But when we can actually help a club do this and create a facility through just the sheer value of being with us, that just speaks volumes. And more clubs are going to come to us for that very reason. And as I say, we had 4 clubs just yesterday got the green light. And I'll be really honest, and I think this speaks volumes, Alex. Um, there were about 20 of our clubs wanted to bid for that fund, and we told them, "You're not ready. You're going to get knocked out. You're going to build an expectation that then might actually just cut the legs from under you when you get a no, that might jeopardize
Mhm.
you actually delivering the project in the future. Just hold fire. There's going to be other funding opportunities." And it was largely down to the fact that they didn't have planning permission Alex. But the 4 clubs that did have planning permission, and the 4 clubs that went through the model, and the 4 clubs that we helped support the application process with, they all were successful. And it's 100% of six. Like, it can't be any clearer. The model works, Alex, and we're the right people to help those clubs take that next step on their journey.
Well, if I was a chairman or a secretary or a treasurer of a club, during this period of time when they should, they'll probably be getting ready to, in the next 6-7 weeks, they're probably getting ready to rehash their membership, to start the whole process again. From your experience, maybe in the south of Ireland, what are the steps that I should be taking to tick those boxes? I mean, okay, I might be happy with my current supplier, but really, if I should be doing my due diligence with regard to what other solutions are out there. I mean, for me to be doing my job for the club, I should always be looking at what's available, what's happening in the marketplace, what things should I be aware of, and how can Team Fee Pay help me to tick those boxes, to dot those I's and cross those T's, so that I can turn around and say, well, our current solution is future proofed and we're happy to stay with that. But actually, there's other solutions out here that I'm learning about. I learned something new from Team Fee Pay that I didn't know about before. This is the key thing that is filling that information gap. What's your advice to chairmen, treasurers, secretaries that are out there during this 6-8 week period?
Well, I think during this next 6 or 8 week period, you may be happy with the current system or the provider that you have, Alex. But actually getting a meeting with Team Fee Pay, taking a half an hour out of your time to go through a demo, one of the platform, but two and really understand all the added value services that we bring free on top of the payment collections, because everyone in the space, there's a similar money. They use Stripe or they use a payment provider. There's a payment processor fee. There's typically a small annual license fee. It's all relatively the same. What we've tried to do is this. We only work with football clubs, Alex, because we're football people. There's 21 people in here who are UEFA B, UEFA licensed coaches. They all coach, they all volunteer, they're all involved in local grassroots football clubs. And we've still got some players that play Irish League football and so on and so forth. But take a meeting, work out very quickly. Can we do the same as your current provider at the same value, which is, collecting your membership fees? And if that answer is yes, do that in 15 minutes. Spend 5 minutes saying, how can you make it easy for all my users and members to, move across? And we've got a team of people that do that. We've got 5 football guys that work on our customer success team that help the club's users move across. But if a club is going to take an hour, work out in 15 minutes. Can we do payments? Can you do reporting? Can you do fundraising? Are we the same price? Spend the next 45 minutes actually working out about all the additional added value services, the training needs analysis, the fundraising, the coach education, the facility development, the team tour product we have. Find out about all of that and find out about our football background. And Alex, there's no coincidence. We launched this product in August 2021. We're not even 2 years old. We've got 1,000 clubs across UK and Ireland that now use the platform. We've lost maybe 2 or 3 of those customers maybe last year, but they've come back. We love servicing our football clubs, but my advice is get the clubs to actually work out why we're different. Take that hour-long meeting and work out how these added value services can help their clubs over the next 4 to 5 years, because we want to go on that journey with them to creating their facilities or delivering whatever vision they have for their club, Alex.
And to close off, I want to ask this question because I feel that it's the biggest impediment to the management of a club is, due to its volunteer nature and due to most clubs being led by, as we say, football people. there is a technical gap, and it can be often filled by individual volunteers, but very often anything that has anything to do with being a treasurer or have anything to do with touching any of the money is it's hard to get volunteers for those areas. And the problem that that creates is that there are non-technical people having to implement and manage technical solutions.
Yeah.
And I want to know, what is it that Team FeePay have done to the product, or what are the areas that ensure that Team FeePay system is one that is, super friendly, super user friendly, and easy to implement, those things. What is it that you guys know? Because if you are true football people, you would know that this is a major problem in clubs. What is it that you've done?
Alex, I think the one
What
thing
is it
we've
that you've
done, yeah, and what makes us slightly different, and it's really simple, Alex. It's people, right? And let me explain that. When we chat to clubs, typically there's a treasurer, there's someone that looks after the finances, and there's a fear or there's an inertia. What we have right now, I'll do. It works. Uh, there's a fear of the unknown, and I'm going to be really honest. I'm a football guy that's moved into tech, Alex. I don't really know anything about tech, but I've got the right people that do, and I'm not putting myself down. What I'm trying to say is, I built this product out of a sure, just a determined um, commitment to make it this really easy for volunteers. So our user interface is simple. Um, so for the treasurer, you know, they don't have to do anything, right? We created a customer success team, and the difference between us and other platforms is that we're a fully managed service. Okay. And the difference here, let me explain, is every single one of our account managers manages a portfolio of 200 clubs. Okay. And they only deal with the administrators and the treasurers in the clubs. So right now, my guys are phoning the treasurers. They're chatting about how the seasons went. They're reviewing how much money they brought in. They're chatting about, right, cost of living's going up. If you've got to hire facilities next year, they're helping them do a little bit of, are you charging enough on a membership to make sure you pay your bills next year? Now, that's business planning, but we're not calling it business planning. And we're saying, right, okay, you need to move your membership from €30 to 32 to cover the bills. We then create all the payment plans. We then issue that to all of the club's members. And then if a club's member is having a difficulty signing up or a little technical problem, they hit the support button and somebody gets back to them. Not artificial intelligence, not an automated email. They get a real life person in football, phone them or email them to say, here's how you fix that problem. And that's the one thing we really wanted to do, Alex, because I understand that people's time is important. Um, and we want them spending their time doing big things in their clubs, either coaching or delivering on a big vision. The administrative, the bureaucracy, and the fear of integrating new technology, we wanted to take that away. And the best way to do that was by having a team of people available at a time when clubs need it. So I'll be honest, Alex, you look around the office now and there's maybe 10 people in. Our office comes to life at 4 o'clock because clubs operate at 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Clubs operate at the weekends. And the one thing our clubs can be rest assured, they'll have a personal mobile number for each of their account managers. They'll phone them. They might not always answer, but what they'll get is a text back to say, Alex, I'm out on the pitch coaching. I'm going to call you after a session. And we get back to them that night and we solve a problem within 24 hours for them. And that's all I ask my guys to do, is to be there when our clubs need them. And I think that's the big
You,
difference. We haven't tried to short circuit this or bring artificial intelligence in or you know, be because we've got investors and shareholders, be really motivated by the bottom line. The bottom line for me is we're there when clubs need us most, and we make it easy for them, Alex.
well, you see that you've hit the nail on the head there, because from my perspective, looking at clubs and the areas that they there's significant room for improvement. And where it ties in with a company like Team Fee Pay is that it's in your interest to have more transactions going through your portal. So
Yeah.
by having this kind of account manager approach, who's able to solve a problem in Y, area Y, learn from that area, and then apply that across the field to grassroots clubs. So there's not like this, one club going on a marathon. It's really important that clubs learn from each other. And our strap line at Striker Online is compete on the pitch and collaborate off it. If we can
Yes.
keep competing on the pitch and collaborate more as grassroots clubs, we can learn from each other and create a bigger cake so that the slices are bigger.
Yeah.
And this is actually what I it's really actually, it's a great point to end our discussion on, because it's exactly where Striker Online wants to come in at, because we believe that there are so many so much brilliant work being done out there by grassroots clubs, and they've got content strategies, they've got great sponsorship, but it's all in bits, and if they just structure it a little bit and make sure that they have a system like Team V with the kind of a Team Fee Pay and the kind of advice that's creating that structure within their organization, within their club, that gets them a sense of, okay, I'm not just doing this on my own. I do have someone I can phone and ask for a little bit of advice. Do you know anyone that's done something like this? We're thinking of doing this. This is working quite well. That's exactly the type of structure that can help grassroots clubs learn from each other and shorten that learning curve and become so much more successful in terms of income generation and delivering the vision that we've just been spent the last hour talking about.
Yeah. Alex, you're right. And as I say, uh, with these clubs, we do collaborate. We learn every day from our clubs and our customers. And the one thing we do then is we apply that knowledge and we inform others. We host a range of webinars. How to get the most out of your facilities, how to uh, organize a tournament, how to keep your volunteers engaged. And we've taken all those key learns from our clubs and our customers. And yes, we've maybe applied a little bit of technology behind them, but we're providing them free to all of our clubs. Um, and it's just a great space to be working in, Alex. And um, I think that the best way to conclude our day and our time here is um, we're trying to create a family and a community of grassroots football clubs that have just a lot of respect for one another. And I love your line: compete on the pitch and collaborate off it. We might steal that one, Alex. So but in the main, that's our get up and go. Help our clubs be successful. Help them get the money from their members that they should be getting in a way that's user friendly. Help them get a little bit more money from, you know, previous members and diaspora, and with a little bit of fundraising. Help them start to commercialize what they have. Simple things like, can we engage a brand like Nike and Adidas that'll help all the guys and young players buy their football boots from them, but the club wins. So we're trying to take that buying power that we have. We've over 200,000 young footballers now that use the platform every single month, Alex. So how do we get the big brands to give our clubs and those young footballers a little bit back? So Team FPL will go on its own journey over the next number of years, Alex. The platform will continue to get better. We'll continue to add new features, but it's largely driven by what our grassroots clubs and customers want and what they tell us they need, Alex. So we look forward to delivering that vision over the next number of years.
Well, thanks